Good morning and happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, August the 24th, 2021, as if you didn't know that already. But welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. Let's see, as a matter of fact, this is our 50th edition of Tuesdays with Thom. That's right, this is number 50. We want to thank all of you out there who have been with us for this time. We want to thank you, the crew and the staff, thank our sponsors. Thank Joyce, Emily, Sean, Michael, Barbara, and all of our guests. It is a fun ride. So what's happening? Well, Chick-fil-A stores have notified some patrons that they're closing their dining rooms, citing exhaustion caused by staffing crisis. One said that our team cannot continue at the pace we are at. Our team members are exhausted, and there is no relief for them in our roster. Apparently, hiring new folks doesn't seem to help the situation. According to one manager, new hires are, quote, accepting a job only to resign within their first couple of weeks. They put out a notice saying, if you know anybody that wants a fast-paced job, Sundays off, a fun environment, and a chance to grow as a team member, have them give us a call. Call Chick-fil-A if you're looking for some work. COVID could play a major role in college football final standings this year. Unlike last year, in the Southeastern Conference, if a team cannot field enough players to play a scheduled game as it stands right now, that game will not be rescheduled. And there is the threat of forfeiture. I don't see how that's going to work out. If it's Alabama that can't play, I'd like to see them make them forfeit it. We'll see how that works. And over 6,000, I don't want to just see Alabama forfeiture. I want to see them force them to do it because they're not going to force them to do it. So I don't know why they're doing all this tough talk. Anyway, over 6,000 Alabama children have been diagnosed with COVID in the last 2 weeks, 5 times more than in 2020. 6% of the cases in Alabama have been among children from 0 to 4 years of age. 8% are in the 5 to 17 age range. At least 50 children have been hospitalized statewide. The state recently had at least 9 children on a ventilator in a single day. The COVID is here. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. It's complicated. I know it's complicated. People got business to run. We got schools. We got our lives. It's complicated, but let's try to do the right thing so that we can do what's best for all of us. Kathy Hochul, I imagine that's how you pronounce her name, Hochul, is now the governor of New York, New York's first female governor. Isn't that something? So let's move on. Our G-List guest today, our G-List is sponsored by Mainstream Financial Group. Mainstream Financial brings financial vision and clarity to your retirement plan. Our G-List guest today is Dr. Tamela Maddox. We look forward to having her. Dr. Maddox has recently accepted the position of founding middle school principal at I3 Academy, a charter school in Birmingham, Alabama. We look forward to our conversation with her. Tuesdays with Thom, of course, is sponsored by our partners, the Best Girl Consulting Firm. Best Girl we'll take it away.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Creates the solution that fits your needs. So let's get to our roundtable regulars and introduce Barbara Wallace-Edwards and Michael Walker. Barbara Wallace-Edwards is a Mobile, Alabama native currently living in Birmingham. Barbara, how are you this morning?
Good morning, Thom. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I feel good today. I don't know what's up. I feel great though. But Are you looking for a job? Chick-fil-A's hiring, I
No,
understand.
sir. No, sir. Thank you.
They're closing the. Let's get Michael Walker here. Michael Walker lives in Atlanta, Georgia. He grew up in Auburn, Alabama. He is in the insurance business. Michael Walker, how are you this morning?
I am doing well, Thom, this morning. I hope you are. And to you, good morning, Barbara. Hope you're well also.
So, Michael, what's happening in your world?
Well, I have a couple things in my world that's happening that kind of piggybacks off of what you were talking about earlier. The GAO, the General Accounting Office, is releasing a report that there's a nursing staffing shortage in the U.S. And that Medicare, between the year of 2018, back in 2018, they spent an estimated $5 billion on hospital readmissions because of a nursing shortage. Also, they spent $28 billion on short term in 2019. And basically what it's come down to is because of nurse understaffing, it impacts patient safety and practice management, and people are being released from the hospital prior to them really being released. And that causes them to have to come back. And that's causing more issues and stuff. Also, Americans agree that nurse compensation is too low and the execs are overpaid. And also to note is that you're mentioning COVID and children. The Journal of American Medical Association released a report that in Canada, after observing about 6,280 pediatric cases, they have found that children between the ages of 0 and 3 are the ones that have the greatest odds of transmitting COVID, much less than the odds for ages 14 to 17. So, in that, some kids are not eligible to get the vaccinations yet. Well, in that case, that's why they're urging older family members to get the vaccination because they can catch it from the kids in the household.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, man. That's valuable information. So let's. I got a couple of questions, but let's see, Barbara, what you got for us today?
Tom, first of all, I want to ask for prayers for my family. My Aunt Carolyn Law, who resided in Atlanta, passed away on yesterday. So ask for prayers for the family, especially my cousin, Lachelle Vaughn, who was her primary caretaker. So we'll miss Aunt Carolyn. She was a life of every party. And today is election day in Birmingham.
Oh, so that's right.
Right. We have two Auburn alums who are in the running for positions. Chris Woods, who's running for mayor.
I think Michael's going to go over there and support Chris today.
Okay.
Go ahead. We all support Chris. We love Chris.
Absolutely.
Chris, if you're watching, we love you, brother. We love you.
And we also have Adlai Trone, who's a former Auburn football player, who's running for city council in District 8. So we wish both of them the very best today.
Best of luck to Adlai, a good young man. I like Adlai. He's going to do some good. He's doing and will continue to do some good things.
Absolutely. He's been heavily involved in the community and doing some wonderful things. So I look forward to, hopefully he will be successful in his run today. Also, breaking news, Tom, the FDA grants full approval to Pfizer's COVID vaccine on yesterday. I'm not sure if you saw that. So hopefully that would be an incentive for and will persuade more people to get vaccinated. Some have been using that as an excuse that they didn't want the vaccine because it had.
They don't want that camera. That vaccine leaves a camera inside your body. They don't want that camera inside their body.
Well, they carry the camera around in their hands with them all day, every day. That's interesting.
I think Michael had something else. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Michael.
He's going to tell us what kind of camera that is.
No, I'm not going to do that. It's just interesting, though, that people are wanting to wait for the FDA approval in order to do that. I have to say that I have some relief. My son finally got vaccinated. I have been on him for a year to get vaccinated. And yesterday I sent him a text and I said, well, flu shots are available. Since you don't have the COVID vaccine, you might as well go get the flu shot. You don't want to get double pandemic and stuff. And he texted me back and said, "Ha ha, I'm a step ahead of you. I went got vaccinated not too long ago, so I took your advice." So that's finally.
Let me. I got it. What was? I'm just curious. What was his reason for not getting it?
He never even gave a reason. He just wouldn't go get it. Never even stated what his reason was. But in his text, he said, "It took me a while to get there, so I am now." So I just took it as a win, Thom.
There you go. Sometimes it's best to do that.
Celebrate those small victories. That's right.
You're ahead, so leave it alone.
Right, exactly. I just left it alone.
Let me ask you guys a question. I want to ask a question. I want to go back to not just the Chick-fil-A thing, but there's a lot of talk in the country about all these jobs that can't be filled. And my question is, if the jobs were filled before the pandemic, why are they not filled after do the people don't want to go back to the jobs that they had? And let me add one more thing to it, and this is probably my little slant on it. I know that we're sitting where executives are getting paid here, hourly workers are getting paid here. Did the hourly workers get that 10 months off and decide, you know what, it ain't worth it for me to go do this every day because I ain't making enough money to live? So anyway, I need you guys' opinion. Either one of you first.
Well, Thom, I think that's part of the reasons people don't want to go back to those same jobs they had. They realize that there's something better out there, and in some cases also we got to realize we lost a lot of people to COVID during this pandemic. So they died or they're too ill to return to work. So that's some of the reason as well. We lost a lot of people that were in the workforce that will not just can't return.
Okay, Michael?
Well, for some of the same reasons that Barbara highlighted there, I agree with there. There's also a lot of talk from some people that it's because of the amount of money that they were getting paid not to work. In other words, so your people that worked in restaurants where there was a low hourly wage, the unemployment money that they received and the paycheck protection money and all the other funding that the federal government put out there, they made more money by staying at home than going to work. So they just continue to ride that out. Then a lot of people found better jobs now because there are a lot of companies that are really trying to hire that give a step up in pay. I was reading somewhere where I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was a place that historically it paid very low. They're paying people $15 an hour or more to come to work. And their warehousing jobs now are stepping up. So it's a little bit of all of the above is that, they were making more money to stay at home. They found better jobs. Some people took the opportunity to go back and get an education or a certificate, which would lead to a better job.
That's good. That's good. And we talk about $15 an hour, and we talk about $15 an hour like, damn, man, that's a lot of money. Well, I guess it is if you've been making 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. Well, $15 an hour at 8 hours a day comes to $120 a day, $600 a week, $2,400 a month before taxes.
Right.
Can you live off $2,400 a month before taxes? Which means you probably bring home about $1,600. I just asking the question. I don't know.
Well, a lot of it depends on what your fixed costs, your overhead. Everybody have different degrees of overhead. So again, though, the point that you make, if somebody's making $5-6 an hour, that does a lot if their overhead cost stays the same.
Yeah. Okay. Just go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I'm just saying that's part of the reason. For you, $15 an hour is no money, but you have a much higher overhead cost. You know what I mean? So you're in a total different world. So I understand the mentality. But if it's somebody that's just borderline, that does a lot for them. And as a matter of fact, I was looking at numbers yesterday because it is Medicare season opening up, and people that are on Medicaid, where they have Medicare and Medicaid, the state kicks in and pays all your premiums and stuff, but their salaries are from $14,000 to $19,000 a year, and they qualify for Medicaid.
And okay.
Yeah, now, Thom.
And so that goes back to what you're talking about, Thom, when you did your extrapolation of $15 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We talked
Okay.
about $7 an hour being low. My niece worked in the restaurant industry and made $2 an hour, and the
Damn.
rest of her salary was
You-
based on her tips. So if she no one
When
paid
was
in,
when was this?
this was 2 years ago.
Damn.
Yes. So they only paid $2 an hour. The rest of the money came from your tips, and if the people were not coming into the restaurant, you were not making any money. So a
Well-
lot of people haven't gone back to going out to dinner. As you mentioned, you and your wife celebrated your anniversary, and happy anniversary to you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
And got a chance to go out last night. But that was your first time really going out to dinner.
Yeah.
And how long since the pandemic started?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we've been doing takeout,
Right.
like everybody else, and
Right.
all that, and one reason for us now is we live in a tourist area, and
Yes.
tourists come down here and they don't social distance, they don't wear
Right.
masks, this and that, so it's just safer for the people who live here not to be around.
Absolutely.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, let me add this to the conversation. You guys are familiar with DoorDash, where they
Yes.
go and deliver.
Yes.
Okay. I did not know this, but their business model is the people that do the door dashing, they get paid $2 for each assignment that they take. Okay. The rest of their money will come in tips from the people that they deliver the food to. So if
Yes.
somebody gives them $5, then now they're at $7 for their delivery. But that's the business model, is $2 for each assignment.
Yes, it's very low.
Yeah.
And
so-
you're go ahead, finish.
Well, but so, and with that, you got to you hope the people give you tips.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not guaranteed.
You should go to the wrong house and yeah.
Right.
They don't believe in it. I already paid for the food, man.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Barbara Pitts Larkin posts, some people in the fast food industry walked off the job because of poor treatment, long hours, and no breaks. They went to better paying jobs with better treatment.
That's true.
Yeah, probably so. And $2. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing. I don't know. I'll tell you this now. I don't know about Chick-fil-A. I just saw that. I thought that was really interesting. There's a Popeyes not too far from here. And I like to go to Popeyes every now and then or whatever. Since the pandemic started, I've not been because you can't get in there. They don't do the dining room. Well, they didn't do the dining room for a long time. And the line for the drive-through would be all the way through the parking lot and out to the street.
Yes.
And I'll guarantee you they were making more money than they would have made had they had the dining room open.
That's true.
And so you have to wonder, if I'm the business owner, is it better for me not to open the dining room? Because that's as Michael said, that's an overhead that maybe I don't have to have.
Right.
If they're going to buy it anyway, if they're going to sit in their car and wait till we can get to them. So
That's so true.
I don't know.
I've seen that with Chick-fil-A lines. So I think that's true.
Chick-fil-A has double lines now.
That's
Yeah,
true.
right.
They-
But
Yes.
see, let me add this to you. The flip side of that is right up the street, Jason Deli. Yeah, no, Jimmy John's. You guys heard Jimmy John's, freaky fast sandwiches.
Yes.
I went up there the other day, and I always try to go through drive-through for lunch so I can just grab and come back and eat at my desk. Drive-through wasn't open because they were short-staffed. You had to park and go eat.
Wow.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. They had a line. They had a handwritten note pressed on the speaker box, says, "Sorry, drive-through is not open due to shorting staff. Please come in."
Wow.
Well, I just got a couple of things. Well, just two or three things, but I'll just say this first. I went to the post office yesterday, and the outdoor machines, outdoor boxes where you drop your stuff in, they had them sealed up. You had to go inside.
Wow.
So I don't know what that was about. So anyway,
That's interesting.
the Fair Labor Standards Act, $2 per month in tips be paid at least $2.13 per hour in wages. That means if you're a waiter, bartender, or another service employee who receives tips, your employer is only required to pay you $2.13 per hour in wages. So there it is. That kind of got everybody quiet.
Sad. Yes.
So the $15 an hour doesn't look too bad, does it?
Not at all.
So when the government was giving out that money, and everybody says they're giving this money to these employees and they don't want to work, the businesses got a lot of money, and which is probably why a lot of these restaurants were able to stay open if they only got to pay $2.13 an hour, and they got $500,000 from the government, $200,000 from the government, so on and so forth. So anyway, anything else?
Let's get to the G list.
Absolutely.
Okay. Emily says $15 an hour would still not be for servers unless they completely change tipping. So anyway, we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
So let's go to the G list. The G list, where everybody is a star. The G list is sponsored by Mainstream Financial Group. I think we're going to play the recorded G list today. Am I right, Em? Okay. Well, I'm assuming I'm right. So let's go to the G list and let's go to our sponsor, Mainstream Financial Group. Well, Mainstream Financial Group provides financial services for both individuals and businesses, and their mission is to understand the unique needs of each and every client and work closely with you, assembling a planning team to develop and manage your plan to help you accomplish your defined financial goals. Now, Mainstream has these financial professionals who will provide you with a complimentary, no obligation financial review. These professionals can then offer the custom advice you need to mend together the pieces of your financial life, come up with a plan that's truly comprehensive. Mainstream Financial assists retirees, near retirees, in planning for a secure retirement so not to run out of money during your lifetime. So you can take advantage of opportunities with tailored advice and the resources to act on it. Mainstream Financial Group, dollars and sensible solution. Don't let your money run out before you do. www.mainstreamfg.com, 205-324-0589. Let's get to our G list guest for today. Remember, Hollywood has the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Thom, we have the G list where everybody is a star. Today's G list guest is Dr. Tamala Maddox. Dr. Maddox is a lifelong educator. She serves as an assistant principal for 8 years and principal for 10 years in Hoover, Alabama. She has held several leadership positions within the Council for Leaders of Alabama Schools, that's CLAS, and Alabama Association of Middle School Principals, AAMSP organizations. She recently accepted the position of founding middle school principal at I3 Academy, a charter school in Birmingham. So welcome this morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing very well this morning. Life's
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Oh, well, thanks for being with us. So tell us about I3 Academy before we get into grilling you with all these questions. Why don't you just tell us what I3 is about, and we'll go from there.
Well, I3 Academy opened last year during a global pandemic, but they managed to get the doors open and keep the doors open with K-5. And those fifth graders are now my sixth graders. So hence the founding middle school principal, we opened another campus with those fifth graders. They are now sixth graders in middle school here in the Eastlake community. The K-5 is still going strong in the Woodlawn community of Birmingham. And we're all about empowering learners to become agents of change. And we want them to solve problems they see in their world. So we spend a lot of time with the kids, helping them to become agents of change, making sure that they have the tools to do that. We have an emphasis on STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. All of our students are heavily involved with each of those. We have a strong social emotional component. We have, as with many kids, our kids come with low vocabulary but high emotions. So we work with them to figure out what those feelings are and help them to navigate those feelings and work towards remaining in the classroom where they can get a strong foundation in reading and math, which we know is the basis of a strong future for them.
So, so you've been an educator for a long time. This is just kind of an off the wall question here.
Yeah, this is my
Uh,
32nd year starting a school
wow,
day,
good for
school
you.
year.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's awesome. So, do you in opening the new school? And I know it was K through fifth grade last year, and now you got sixth
Mhm.
grade. Do you have these things that do you fall back on what you've always known and done, or do you have some new innovative things that you want to try, or maybe some things you hadn't done before that I wish I could do this, so I'll try this now? Just how do you, what's your philosophy in going into with these sixth grade kids?
Well, it was definitely a challenge because I was going into an environment that had a basic foundation. We believe strongly in the values and the principles, the vision, mission of the K-5 school. That continued and carried over. But as far as simple things, the carpool route, the fire
Mm.
the emergency drill procedures and maps for that, a map of the school itself. Just the little things that had to be done from the ground up. A lot of things we didn't know how they were going to work until we actually had the students in the building. But yes, I did fall back on my previous experience as both a teacher, which I taught math for 13 years. Um, High school math. So I fell back on my experience as a classroom teacher as well as my experience as an assistant principal and a principal. I was able to bring a few of those things over with me, many actually, but also because it is a charter school, was able to try a few new things. I haven't reached out there too far because we just want to get school started and get the kids acclimated as well as our new staff. Almost everyone that's here on the middle school campus is new to I3. So we wanted to have things that are comfortable and familiar to them and not go too far out on a limb here in the beginnings. But as we go along, we add a few old things and try out few new things.
So I want to go to Michael and Barbara, but I got to ask: does I3 stand for something particular?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want our students to imagine and then investigate and then innovate.
Oh, I like that.
Mhm.
Imagine, investigate,
Investigate
innovate.
and
That's great.
innovate. That's
Okay.
how they'll become agents of change. We want to make sure they're equipped to solve the problems in our global society as they mature and graduate. We have now with us our graduating class. That's how we've named them and tagged them as the class of 2028. And I know that seems a long way off, but if you blink, they'll be seniors walking across that stage. So we've set that as the goal for them. We want all 100 of them to walk across that stage in May of 2028, and that's what we're marching towards.
That's great. Quick, just a question from the audience. What are the entry requirements for students to attend I3?
It's just a basic application that's available on the website, i3academy.org. And that is just a basic application. The application period begins in October. And no special requirements. Our primary audience, our target audience is students within Birmingham City. That's the district that we are operating within. We're not a part of Birmingham City Schools, but that's our chosen population with a strong emphasis on the Woodlawn community. But fill out that application. We usually have 3 times the number of applicants than we have slots in our K through 2 kindergarten, first and second grade. We have 20 students in each classroom. Third through fifth, there are 25 students in each classroom. And then in sixth grade, we add an additional 25, so there are 100 here with us. After those applications are received, if they're completed properly, your name goes into a lottery, and that's how the students are picked. So our students represent the general um, uh, elementary, middle school population. We have students with special needs. We have students who are gifted. We have students who have strong social emotional issues. We have students who are just your average. I want to go to school to make a better future for myself students. So we represent the general population in every way.
Okay, and I got one more. Here's a quick question from the
Okay.
audience along that lines. Dr. Maddox, how do you navigate the whole city versus charter school conversation? It's one of your sorors. Morgan Robinson asked that question.
Okay. Well, that pretty much stays out of the day-to-day school operations. We have a strong board in I3 Academy board, and they navigate all those legal and day-to-day operations and funding and dealing with the State Department. That stays, thankfully, that stays off my desk and out of my area. This is new for the state of Alabama. I believe there are 3 charter schools, 2 for sure. I believe there are 3 charter schools in the Birmingham area. So it's new for us. And so with that newness comes a lot of challenges, a lot of misconceptions. But we're slowly resolving those. And like I said, thankfully, it doesn't hit my desk. And by the time it gets to me, it's just what do you need to have a successful day? And our board answers that challenge. We have a head of schools, that's Dr. Martin Knowles, and he navigates that with our board and a strong leadership team within each school so that we can get to the meat and potatoes, if you will, of just educating the students.
Okay, let's go to the round. Let's go to Barbara and Michael, and they've got some questions. So, Barbara, you got your question?
I do. Good morning, Sarah Tim. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Do have a couple of questions, and my first is, of course, I3 Academy started last year, K through 5. You start the middle school this year. Is there a plan to expand to an I3 high school in the future?
And there absolutely is. There absolutely is. Each year we will be adding a grade level. And like I said, our current 6th graders have the distinction of being our first graduating class. That's the plan in 2028. So we have this huge banner in the hallway that says Class of 2028. Our opening session with them when we started school, first day of school, we had them all in the gym, and we gave them that information, and that's their charge and their challenge every day to work towards being one of the students who walks across that stage in 2028. If we keep all of them, all 100, then they should be here with us. There's no reason for them not to be able to make it because we support them in every way with a strong intervention program for those who need it, a strong gifted program for those who have been designated as gifted, and a strong special education.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Michael, and we'll come back to you, Barbara.
Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Maddox. Thanks for being here today.
Okay.
Tell me about your recognition as October Mama, and what does that mean?
Oh gosh.
And about your experience in boot camp.
Oh boy. I believe that was last year, if not year before. I have a very close friend and church member, Chandra Sparks Splon, who is an author, a local author, and she also operates or has a strong blog presence, Black Fiction Addiction, that she operates, and she writes young adult literature, and has many. I think she might have hit 20 books here recently. Yeah, and just a plug for her. She She actually does sessions and seminars both virtually and in person in the Birmingham area, the greater Birmingham area. But she decided that I would be the October mama and asked me a few questions. And I have four daughters. I have one stepdaughter and three biological daughters. And one is an Auburn grad, class of 2008. And I also have a daughter who recently graduated from uh, Virginia Commonwealth in Richmond, Virginia. And she starts her big girl job on tomorrow as an auditor for the state of Virginia. And I have my middle daughter is 20, and she will be a junior at Rutgers University, where she plays basketball for the legendary Vivian Stringer. And then my youngest, which means I have an empty nest, my youngest is a freshman at Tuskegee, and she just started classes last Monday. So she thought that that was a big deal to get, my girls through school, graduated without incident, which is tough when you got four girls going in 8 different directions. They all played basketball at some point. And so having to chase after them, my husband and I find ourselves, we feel like we're eating at the what we call the old folks time. We're eating dinner at 4:30 and 5 o'clock because there's just nothing to do but get ready for the next day. So my boot camp experience when my best friend in high school had the notion of us going into the Army Reserve, and I followed along after her. So I was a field medic, like MASH, that old show where you set up a tent and set up an entire hospital right there in the woods. So I was a field medic for 8 years, and did my 2 weeks in the summer and 1 weekend a month. And left the Army Reserve as an E5 sergeant. That's where I get my bark and my bite from, because other than that, I'm pretty much a mild-mannered person. But I can flip a switch and be someone else if I need to be. I'm pretty much an introvert, but I can flip a switch and be an extrovert as well. I always say that I'm an introvert who plays an extrovert on TV. But when the cameras are off, I would love to cuddle up with a book or go out for a walk by myself. I'm a by myself kind of girl.
So tell me the lady's name again who's written all the books.
It is Chandra Sparks Splond. That's Plond. She's a Birmingham native, University of Alabama graduate, but and also an AKA, but I don't hold it against her. And she, like I said, she's around the Birmingham community over into Georgia, and she has that Black Fiction Addiction blog that she does, and keeps all of our noted authors and young authors and up and coming authors in Black fiction at the forefront, because sometimes we don't get all the publicity that we so rightly deserve. So she's out there leading the charge.
Okay. Who's Barbara? You got another question?
I do. Dr. Maddox, I noticed you're, I think, currently the president, or will be the incoming president of the Alabama Association of Middle School Principals for 2021 and 2022. And this is your second term holding that position. What all does that entail? Tell us about that role.
The organization is we're an affiliate organization of CLASS, which is Council for Leaders of Alabama Schools. And it is pretty much, it's just a conglomerate of all of the educational leaders in the state of Alabama. There are different affiliates. You have middle school principals, secondary principals, you have child nutrition program, human resources, the transportation directors, any facet of school leaders in Alabama schools are under this umbrella. And we meet for professional learning, to take on some of the challenges in education. We have a strong presence in the State Department, so that we're lobbying for the things that educators need. A lot of the decisions within the state of Alabama are made by educational decisions are made by legislators who are not educators. So they have to be educated on what our needs are. And that's what our affiliate organizations do. We let that trickle down. We have district presidents. There are 9 districts. Well, it's actually 8 districts, but 7 north and 7 south, they're divided. And so we have 9 districts presidents that represent the districts, same districts that fall along the lines of Alabama High School Athletic Association. They represent the districts across the state. We come together 4 times a year with intention to discuss those issues and make sure that all that information is filtering down. We have speakers come in. We have a convention in the summer. In fact, our convention this past year was in Alabama. I'm sorry, in Birmingham at the BJCC. And so we had a great time there. It moves around the state. Our upcoming convention will be, I think we'll be back in Mobile. We're in Mobile, Montgomery. We have meetings in Auburn, down in Point Clear. So we move it around the state so that it'll be in close proximity to everyone that so they can attend.
Okay. Michael?
Yes, Dr. Maddox, based on your experience in education, what school age group of kids would you say are most at risk based on our conditions right now where we live?
Are you speaking in terms of the pandemic?
Not necessarily the pandemic, but say falling victim to crime or getting involved in crime and all of that stuff, because there's been studies that, if a child isn't reading at a certain level by a certain age, then they are subjected to go that wayward path or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It is certainly a part of that school to prison pipeline. That 3rd grade reading level is also used to, I'm told, I haven't read the research on it, but it's also used to determine how many prison beds we'll need in the future. So that reading at the 3rd grade level is critical. They found the correlation in that. That's why at I3 Academy, we have a strong social emotional learning component, because we have to attack those emotions and those feelings that are coming out of homes. For me, I was a high school educator, a middle school principal, and now I'm seeing how our 6th graders come to us, and I see a lot of the effects of what comes out of K-5. So for different reasons, I would say that in the K-5 realm, those students are most at risk if they are unable to come to school ready to learn. When they get to us, if they're not ready to do things such as take directions and be able to be told no, and how to handle those feelings and how to self-regulate. And many kids don't come to us that way. So we're working on that and teaching them how to self-regulate. Some things that we just take for granted in our traditional middle class world, that kids come to school ready to learn, that everybody in the home is on the same page, and you go and sit down and learn, but that's not always the case because of some of the things that are happening in the community. So for K-5, I would say they're most at risk if they are not ready to learn and reading. In K through 2, you learn to read, and 3 through 5, you read. 3 through 12, you read to learn. So they have to be reading coming out of elementary school. In middle school, lots of confusion there, because they want to be adults, but they're not, and they actually prefer to behave as kids, but they don't fit there, and some mature a lot faster than others. The adolescent brain, the changes that happen in adolescence, 6 through anywhere from 10 and 11 up to 15, those changes that happen in that time frame, more changes happen with the body, the mind, than birth to 2 years old. And we know the changes that happen from complete dependency to this little chatterbox that's walking around. So more changes happen with an adolescent than birth to 2 years old. So lots of changes in the body. We need strong involvement for them, because if they're not involved, they find something to get involved with in their community. Here at I3, we do not have lots of extracurricular yet. We don't have the athletics yet, because in the state of Alabama that begins at the 7th grade level. But we do plan to have lots of academics. We've started with our chess club. We'll have a math team, as well as science Olympiad, and anything else they can think of. That we'll even have board games after school, whatever they want to be they're interested in. We want to provide them an avenue for learning and staying engaged. And then with our high school students, again, if they don't have a vision, along with our middle school students, if they don't have a vision for the future, then they don't see a need for what they're doing. The high school diploma is a great end goal, but you've got to be two things. You've got to be ready to enter the workforce, and that should be for every student, because it benefits you if you're ready to enter the workforce. So credentialing in certain skills areas is fantastic for students. You can graduate high school in many systems within the state of Alabama and across the nation with credentials in the medical field, credentialing in firefighting, so that you can walk right into those career paths and have them pay for your traditional post-high school education. So we have to work on both sides. Not everyone is going to a 4-year institution or a 2-year institution. So we have to make sure our students graduate college and career ready. And that's our challenge these days. We've all preached that message of graduating ready to enter college, but that's not where the workforce is needed right now. We've got strong industry within the state of Alabama, and they're having a hard time, as y'all were talking about earlier, they're having a hard time finding employees that are ready to work, just like ready to learn when they come to school. You've got, Mercedes looking for workers. You've got Honda and Hyundai looking for workers. And we've got to provide them with not only college students for our 4-year institutions, but we've got to have students who are ready to enter the workforce as soon as they graduate. And that comes with strong skills such as coming to school on time, coming to work on time, being ready to receive instruction in school, receiving instruction, reading manuals that are needed for your to be employable. So we're working in a variety of places. It's not just being able to read, write, and do that old arithmetic. We're trying to get them ready for whatever they may face in the future, being equipped to excel in a global society. That's what we say for our vision here at I3 Academy. I'm talking.
Oh, that's good.
That's all right.
I'm very passionate about my kids.
We're great. We're glad. If you weren't, we'd be in trouble. Somebody would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Michael, Barbara, who's up? I lost count here.
That was my last. That's my question.
Okay. A little known fact, Dr. Maddox, I actually taught middle school for 1 year, math and science, PE, and I'm not an education major. I didn't have an education degree.
Wow.
So,
did you? And you survived. You're in one.
I survived.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, though. And but I actually got into education that 1 year because there was such a shortage of math and science teachers, and that was in the early '80s, of course. And so now, are you having any difficulty finding staff to teach those STEM courses? And if so, what resources are you using? How are you filling your staff positions?
Well, fortunately, we haven't had a problem here at I3 staffing. My previous system, Hoover City Schools, we're not having as much of a problem as some others. And that's, based on reputation and things. But there is a shortage of math and science teachers throughout the nation. as well as the state of Alabama. One of the ways that the state of Alabama has worked to mitigate that problem is by having a monetary incentive for math and science teachers at the secondary level. And so if you are a secondary math, secondary science teacher, meaning 6 through 12, teaching math, any math course, any science course, you have to have a certain number of students, you have to have a certain number of sections that you teach, but there's a monetary incentive to stay within the state of Alabama. One of the issues that we have in Alabama is people reach their 25 years and then they'll do what we call double dip and sneak over to, not sneak, but go over to Georgia and teach more, or go to Mississippi or head down to Florida and teach some more. And so they're drawing their retirement from the state of Alabama, but they're also drawing a full paycheck from either Mississippi, Alabama, or I'm sorry, Mississippi, Florida, or Georgia. So now this incentive encourages our talented math and science teachers to stay within the state of Alabama and get that monetary incentive. And it can range anywhere from $7,000 up to $16,000 added on to your normal salary. So we're hoping to see the fruit from that. We do have people who have moved out of teaching math and science, maybe into an area like doing some type of STEM program, engineering program, and they're going back to science so that they can be a part of this teams program. And sadly, I don't know what teams stands for. The current school that I'm in has not had to deal with that because we don't have the number of students required, and there are just so many benchmarks you have to meet in your school to qualify a teacher for that TEAMS, TEAMS grant that is added on to your paycheck. So we're hoping to retain the good and quality teachers here within the state of Alabama instead of them going over the state line, and Georgia and Florida and Mississippi benefiting from the professional learning that we put into this. It has been this legislation has been closely monitored by CLASS, the Council for Leaders of Alabama Schools, and that organization is headed by Dr. Vic Wilson. He does a fantastic job. He's our executive director, and he does a fantastic job of watching and setting the platform for CLASS, what we stand for throughout the state, and what we're advocating for our leaders in the state of Alabama, so that we can try to stay on one accord with our legislators and get down to the business of educating students, so that we're not working against each other. We want to work collaboratively to do what's best for the students in Alabama.
Okay. So let's see. I got a quick question here. So tell us about starting the school and the COVID. What are we doing?
Well, we are able to do things in a lot quieter manner than traditional public schools. We are a public charter school, hence everyone can apply in this Birmingham area. But we're able to mandate masks, and it doesn't make national news. So our students are required to wear masks. I'm out front every morning. Before I came in on the call, I was out front for carpool, and before they can get out of the car, where's your mask? And good morning, where's your mask? And they get out with the mask. We sanitize hands. When we're changing classes, we give them a disinfectant wipe going into each class, each period, so that they can wipe down their desk from the previous student. We do it with the student going in, and we give them a wipe going in, because that way they can be assured that they've attained the level of cleanliness that they want. They're not relying on someone else to wipe the desk down to that high standard that they may have or their parents may have for them. We send home information to parents on a regular basis. Our teachers, beginning after Labor Day, those who are not vaccinated will be tested on a regular basis. We provide testing for anyone who wants it, who's in the I3 family, and we provide vaccinations for anyone who wants it. We have a partnership with an organization that provides those vaccinations for anyone who's interested. In fact, at our Meet the Teacher in early August, we had about 17 family members, I3 family members, who got vaccinated just because it was readily available on campus. So we're a part of the solution. We don't provide any obstacles for our families. We quarantine as required by the Alabama High School, I'm sorry, Alabama Department of Health toolkit that they put out for the entire state of Alabama. We follow those procedures and protocols. We have a nurse on each campus who monitors. Kids are out 14 days if they are close contact with someone who's positive. So we have had to send kids home, but that's based on who's a close contact. And if a student is positive themselves, they're required to stay home for 10 days. And we have procedures in place. We have a Google site that the students can access their assignments, where each one of our students has an iPad. We're a one-to-one school. So each one of our students has an iPad, and they can access their content at home and communicate with their teachers. We also have a technology integration coach on each campus. So they help the students to access. The teachers are busy teaching. So this integration coach has the time to jump online and help the students to access the content and answer those questions they may have, so that they can keep current, so that when they get back, they're not behind.
That's great. So the plan is school is in person unless dictated otherwise.
The plan is student is in person. I3, when it was K5 last year, managed to keep the doors open. We did have kids who chose virtual learning. We do not have a virtual learning option this year. We're only, it's available if you're required to quarantine, but as far as a standard virtual learning option, we do not have that. So parents cannot choose to be virtual. It's just in the case of having to quarantine.
Okay. Let's see. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, I like one quick question. Dr. Maddox, what is Tacky Day and why do you enjoy it so much?
You guys were digging. I like to have fun with the kids. I'm Dr. Maddox, and good thing I have pretty high self-esteem, because nobody wants to come to my office. I don't get a lot of friendly visitors. Usually when somebody's here to see me, they're probably in a hurry, or they're upset, or they got called for pickup. And so most people, although parents have been extremely receptive, most people are not here on a happy occasion. So I just like to have fun with the kids, with the parents, and Tacky Day, I'm able to go all out. I have 70s. In fact, I have a Spirit Day kit at home. I have boxes of overalls for Farmer Day. I have a chicken that I wear on top of my head for Animal Day. I have camouflage pants for Military Day, and Tacky Day is just an easy one. I especially love Tacky Day when my girls were going through my middle school, because it allowed me to give kisses and hugs in the most outrageous costume that I could put together. And usually what I do is I put on something that looks like I was trying to dress appropriately. So I'll have on a plaid blazer with this check dress and tube socks and mixed match shoes. And so it looks like I was trying to get dressed for work, but nothing is flowing very well. Jewelry and all, I do the whole 9 yards. So it's a lot of fun. For the kid, the kids have to see you in another light.
Yes.
I look forward to directing the band. I've done that before when we get our full band program going. I look forward to playing basketball at pep rallies, which I'm awful at, but I'm willing to do anything that lets the kids show that see that we're human.
That's wonderful.
Well, I tell you, you're very lucky that we didn't find out about Tacky Day enough in advance, because we would have asked you to wear that chicken head.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Again, the bottom part would look like this, and you turn around and I've got a chicken on my head. It's a lot of fun.
And she would still be cute, Thom.
Thank you so much for being with us. It's been very informative and just the best of everything with school. And if we can ever do anything to be of any service, please call on us. We would love to be of service to you.
I look forward to seeing some of you on the planes.
Okay. Okay. All right.
All right. Y'all take.
That was great. She was really good. So let's do a little closing commentary, or as I see it, and I'm going to talk about educators. Educators have been very big in my life, and I'd just like to name some of my favorite educators from elementary school, like Sister Mary Carmela and Mrs. McGee. From high school, my favorite of all time was Hilda Horn. She was my speech teacher, but she also became my friend. Peggy Sykes, who was our English teacher, who says she taught me how to write, and she did. And Mrs. Nolan, who was the library. And then I had two coaches that were taught me a lot about the respective sports and taught me a lot about life. And one was Coach Richard Porter in basketball and Coach Hugh Craig in football. In college, I have to grin when I think about Dr. Robert Overstreet, who's a professor at Auburn. He taught Black literature and drama. And Carl Perkins, when I was working on my master's at the University of Montevallo, Carl Perkins taught television and film production. So I want to say a personal thanks to all of them. They've made an incredible difference in my life. And that's how for this Tuesday, August the 24th, 2021. That's our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. We want to thank Michael and Barbara. Thank our G-List guest, Dr. Tamara Maddox. Our upcoming G-List guests on TWT, or next week, another educator, Galatia Ford. We'll have our 1-year anniversary after that. And that 1-year anniversary, we'll bring back the first guest ever on Tuesdays with Thom, and that's Big D. Big D will be with us from Memphis. Daryl Braden. Frances Tate will follow him. She is with Scioto celebrating early Old Town with art out of Decatur, Alabama. They're working on a project up there, a Scottsboro Boys Museum, which should be very interesting, and that will be a great show to talk about. The James Owens Foundation, James Owens Lee Carpenter Foundation golf tournament will take place in September. We're looking forward to having the people working with that. We want to thank our sponsors, Best Girl Inc. and Mainstream Financial Group. You know somebody you think would make a great guest, please refer them to us at either Thom at Best Girl or Emily at bestgirl.com. I want to thank Emily Hedrick, the communicator, our producer. Thanks, Sean Jones, the organizer. Remember to enjoy yourself, make every day count, stay safe. Peace.